Welcome to the National Initiative for Cybersecurity Education podcast series. I'm Dan Manson. With me today is Irvin Lemus. Irvin is Bay Area Cyber Competition Regional Coordinator in California. Welcome to the show, Irvin.
Hello.
I've known you for many years, and I've watched you grow and been very impressed with everything you've done. But tell our listeners how you became interested in cybersecurity competitions. How did you get started?
I got started into competitions because a school in LA needed somebody to do a cyber competition for them. Prior to getting into this specific realm, I used to work for a managed service provider in LA, where I did everything from cybersecurity to IT to everything for client companies. And I would have on-call time, so I would spend my on-call time with a friend doing musicals. And in that process at his school, their after-school program was told they needed to participate in a cyber competition, and nobody knew anything about anything related to that field. And well, I was like, sure, it's my field, and why not? More fun anyway. That's how I got started into this, like 5 years ago now.
So did you find some similarities in the skills needed to run a musical and run a competition?
Yes and no. The coordination of people, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I've kidded sometimes that playing cyber is like playing a sport, but also like learning to play an instrument. It takes many, many hours to get good, and you have to have passions.
Yes.
What have you found in terms of the competitions you've involved in? Kind of take us from that point forward toward today and tell us what you've learned.
So that first competition that we did, what I learned was it was a lose-lose for students. Even though students would learn some basic skills, there was no way for them to really apply them anywhere. Other than on their personal computers, which in a way is a benefit, but it was pretty reserved. And they couldn't really get far in the competition because it was always the same people who would win every time. And it brought students down thinking, wait, I'm going to learn all this at once in just a few short weeks, play, and I'm not even going to make it far. That's not how you encourage anybody to get into anything like a sport. You don't get into a sport, into a league to lose. That's not the point. It's to play, to have fun. Yeah, and that wasn't good. So I started looking out to other sources, and in that time is when I moved up to the Bay to help create and run this program. And as soon as I was given the charge to oversee it and make it grow, I made the big switch over to doing things like capture the flags, to doing red versus blue, and making my own competition that would allow students to learn, to play, to have fun, while gaining more of the skills that are used in everyday, and also let the students see what it's like in this field by touching various subjects and not just one subject.
If you could give advice to someone who wants to build a competition today, what would be some items at the top of your list?
To play other capture the flags. So play things that are easy and fun, like the National Cyber League, like Pico CTF, like KringleCon, and others that are happening all the time. You go to ctftime.org, you see competitions that are happening all the time. There are tons of resources for anybody who wants to get started, like ctf101.org, where you kind of get a feel for what the subjects show up, and you play. You don't play to win, you play to learn. So something that I have instilled in this region is play as many CTFs as you can. Who cares how many points you get? We'll count all those points together. So one of the great things about CTFs is they happen over a number of days. So you don't have to sit in one sitting and do, it's not a test.
Mhm.
You know, you can spread it out because life happens and you have school and friends and family. So it's nice that capture the flags are spread out. So you can dedicate time throughout a couple of days. That would be my start. For anybody who wants to get started, play CTF.
What do students like about a CTF?
Students like the various challenges. They like that they're not pigeonholed to one or two subjects. Those students who like digital forensics will instantly hit digital forensics. Those who like reverse engineering, same. Everybody finds the thing that they like, so their team ends up specializing in what they like. And the only way they found out is by playing these various categories and seeing what categories they like, and from there they just run with it. So being able to do what they want to do and still participate to the greater whole has been one of the greatest successes that we've seen.
What do you tell students they need to know before they play a CTF? Because it's a question I get, but my answer is you just need to play. You don't want to focus on being ready. The only way you really become ready is by playing and learning by playing.
Yes, that is the same advice I give. I do have a number of teachers who fear that oh, we're walking into something and we don't know what we're doing. That's perfectly fine, especially because of the way that we're doing things here in the San Francisco Bay, where we're telling the students play as many CTFs as you want. If you got 100 points in one CTF and 50 in another, that's 150 points for your team. It doesn't matter how well, how bad you did. You're playing in various games. You're seeing how people create these questions, how people create these puzzles, and you're solving them, and you're getting that exposure to everybody else who's doing these things.
Can you tell us a story or two about a student you've worked with and you've been able to help them grow from someone who would be intimidated by the thought of playing to gaining confidence and feeling ready to go out into the profession?
So there is a student who this semester, brand new, didn't know anything, fell in love with Wireshark. Absolutely fell in love. Any contest that had anything to do with packet captures and trace files, that student was there. We did our own CTF where students of the entire region and program could submit questions and see their questions on the CTF. That kid submitted a whole ton of packet captures. He completed everything else that everybody else did and kept asking for more. I started digging into my Wireshark class for stuff. And at some point, I saw that this was the thing that he was after. So I got him connected with Laura Chappell of Wireshark, and she got him not only the $700 class for free, but also a free voucher for him. And right now he's going through it, and every other week or so I connect with him to see how he's doing, to see his progress. He's making his way to getting that certification. And he's a junior.
What was the quality that best described him? What attribute?
The passion.
The
passion to, I want to do more. I want to learn more. Give me more.
I often say we can't teach passion, but we can channel it.
Yes.
When someone finds their passion, we can help them develop it. But it's
right.
hard in a classroom, certainly, for a teacher to say, I'm going to give you passion.
Right. And that's one of the things I like about Capture the Flags is this student looked at the other areas like digital forensics, reverse engineering, open source intelligence. None of that sparked his interest. He did, but when networking didn't necessarily hit him, but once we started looking at packets, that was it. That was it.
Well, tell us a little bit about the competitions you've been developing and where you've been developing. You're at Cabrillo College, and
yes.
Cabrillo College is becoming a very well-known cybersecurity school and with well-known programs. So tell us a little bit about Cabrillo too.
So when I started here at Cabrillo, I was given a budget to hire student assistants to help me run this program. Before I used to do everything on my own, so this was a great leap. So I have been employing about 8 students to build competitions from the ground up. So the way that this whole program works is the high school, middle schools, and community colleges, they play those CTFs. My team also participates in those by mentoring the students, by providing trainings for them, by answering their questions on our Discord server. And while they're doing that, my team is building contests from the ground up. So what we've done in the last couple of years is we reach out to industry and ask them, what problem, what situation, what scenario did you go through and succeeded that you would like to see students do? And so they give us a list of things that they would like to see. And then once a year, I call the region together and we go over that list. We find the good ones. We vote on 2. This year we voted on 2 to do for those students. So after that decision is made, then my team begins the process of planning, of researching, of building, and executing the contest.
The Bay Area in the past, when I was working in California, I always thought had a lot of potential that was not being realized. It was really hard to find the schools that wanted to really see what they can do to participate in competitions or grow their own competitions, but you've succeeded at both. How did you succeed with them? What made the difference?
What made the difference, number one, was having champion teachers. Was having teachers who were willing to jump into this with me. And one of the ways that I was successful in getting teachers was telling them that they didn't have to do extra work because my team handles the teaching, the mentoring, the support, and the materials. Now that takes a huge burden off those teachers who feel like, I want to do this, but I know nothing about cybersecurity.
I don't have the time. I don't have the expertise.
Right. But they can open up their classroom after school or during lunch. They can communicate with me via email about questions from the students and set up meetings with me and my team. So, and do any paperwork on their school side. They can do that. So that's the responsibility that we have on those teachers. From there, we handle the rest. That was the defining change.
Have most of your competitions been extracurricular? What I find is that the work I love to do is outside the classroom, but you are teaching in the classroom and working outside. What are you doing in the classroom, and is most of the time that you spend outside?
So for my specific classrooms, it's all hands-on. So that's how I pick out the students for my team, is by seeing what they're doing, how they're interacting with other students. Are they a team player? Are they thinking outside the box? Those are the students that I pick out to hire to join my team. But this program, region-wide, is seen more of an after-school program, an extracurricular program, because it hasn't yet made its way into the classroom. I know of 1 or 2 schools where the teachers are starting to integrate it as part of the class year, but it hasn't been formalized as, here's a cybersecurity class for high school students right now.
Help me with another question I get asked. So when I talk about competitions, I may get 1 or 2 students that say, it looks interesting, but how much time do I have to spend on this? How much time does National Cyber League take? And it's such a it depends type of answer, because you're not playing for a grade. You don't want to say, well, what do I need to master to get a grade? It's not about that. It's about finding your passion and developing yourself the way an athlete or a musician develops himself. So sure, you could spend an hour a week on it, but you can also spend a lot more. So what is your answer?
So my answer is, it's an upward slope. If you have the interest, your time will go up. If you don't have the interest, the time will go down. So at the beginning, you may be spending an hour a week because you're looking at these different subjects and you're kind of like You're at a buffet, you're trying things out here, here, and here. Maybe something will catch your interest, maybe not. If it does, that's the thing that you start spending more time on, and so the slope of time goes up.
I like the buffet analogy. I like the thought that with all these different types of challenges, it's like having food choices or beverage choices, and you're going to find the food and beverage that you really like, and that's what you want to keep going back through.
Right. And that's what I like about the CTF is you're given all these subjects, so you can do that. You can pick and choose what you want to do, and then you go focus on that.
We are starting to explore running a competition like an esport. We've tried that the last 2 years here in Las Vegas at an esport arena. In the CTFs you've been involved with, what would it take to develop them to the point where they are watchable like an esport, where you can do commentator, play-by-play on them like an esport, and they could actually run in an arena? Or you don't think they'll ever get there, but what do you think?
You know what, I can see it happening if, for example, we had the competitors' screens able to be seen. Because one of the problems is you can't, you have to be able to share the screens without the competitors being able to see each other's screens. We attempted this with our competition that we built called the Purple competition. It is a red and blue team competition on both sides. We use Zoom actually as our attempt, and one of the things we saw is, oh, everybody can see each other's screen. That's not quite useful. But I can see it happening. It's going to take some work. It's going to take some trial and error, and we're doing that now with the Purple competition. But I do see it. I do see it possible.
You keep developing more and more every year. Do you have a goal? Do you have where would I want this to be in 5 years?
Number one, I want this to be fully funded.
Yeah, don't we?
Yeah, in 5 years, I want this to be able to be completely industry funded and not reliant on colleges, even though this is not possible without the college support. I definitely see the need for industry to not only recognize, but financially support it. And through that, be able to keep up what we're doing now. Supporting middle school, high school, and community colleges who want to get into this but don't have the expertise or the knowledge, be able to fund students who are in the field to be able to provide that mentorship, that training, that teaching, that support, and provide the materials like cloud support for those students so that the middle school, high schools don't have to pay to play. They don't have to pay to get specialized equipment. They can use the Chromebooks that they have in store. We just pay. We pay the cloud providers to hold up the servers, to hold up whatever desktops they need to be able to play this, because it should be accessible to everybody.
Now, industry always wants to know return on investment. What would it do for them, for their brand recognition? Cyber Patriot has been very successful in this. But if you're in a room, say you're speaking to a group of companies or a group of potential investors, give us your pitch.
So my pitch would be, these are your future employees. And if they're not your future employees, they're your next door neighbors. They're your community. My first pitch would be towards, by you financially supporting this, by you getting involved in this, you're helping to train your next employees right now. These students need to have the knowledge and skill that they need to be able to defend not only our companies, but our communities and our nation against attacks that are happening all the time. And the only way we can make that change is if we support programs like these to do that.
A combination of these is your future workforce, and this is something society needs.
Yes.
What do you tell a student if they really play CTF in terms of making the transition to the profession? Obviously, there's lots of other things they should be doing. They should be taking the right courses. They should be looking at certifications. They should be looking at going to all the meetups they can. But What do you say the CTF does for them?
So the CTF gives them, number one, a real glimpse into the field, into what the technical requirements, the technical knowledge pertains. So them, for example, that Wireshark student, he now sees what it takes to be a Wireshark certified network analyzer. He sees what the job will entail. So from that knowledge, we can take that next step of getting him certified. We can take that next step of getting higher education at a community college or a 4-year and working our way out to industry. We always have that what's next in our program. So yes, you play CTFs, you take that buffet style of trying different things out, you see what you like, that's great. Keep playing, keep learning, and let's talk about what you can do next. Where you can go to get higher education, where you can see yourself employed, and how we can make that bridge.
I asked this question probably way too much, but I love the question. Are the kids that really have true passion in CTF and cybersecurity competitions, are they playing something like a sport?
To my knowledge, they're not.
What are they doing instead?
Most of them, I mean, I know some of them are in band.
But is the competition experience itself something like a sport?
Yeah, I don't think they are playing a sport. This is their sport.
Any other last thoughts in terms of where you can go, where the schools you work with can go, where the state of California can go, where the country can go on this?
I think this is a great model to replicate. I think it's possible to replicate it. I don't think it's out of anybody's reach to be able to. Number one, you need a champion. This is not possible without a champion. Get a champion, get a couple students, and start playing and start creating CTF. That is the easiest way to get started. It doesn't cost much of anything, really. A lot of the material is already provided. It's just that passionate champion and students to lead that charge.
At what age should someone consider playing a CTF? At what age should they start?
13.
I think that's a sweet spot too. And they can play it forever.
Yep. No two competitions are the same. That's a great thing.
Irvin, it's been a pleasure having you on. It's been really cool to watch your progress. It's going to be even cooler to watch your future. You're making a important, critical contribution to developing the cybersecurity workforce. Thank you. This has been the National Initiative for Cybersecurity Education podcast.